Hey guys, Rick Stone here from Our Stony Acres. Welcome to our YouTube channel. Glad to have you here for our monthly planting guide video. So before we get started, if you're new to our channel, please make sure you subscribe and click that notification bell so that you get notice every time we release new videos. Okay, so as promised, I promised that I would do planting guides for you for the entire year, every month of the year. These last couple, we've just kind of combined everything because what you can plant in November for most of the garden zones is getting pretty small. That list is getting pretty short, so we'll be able to run through it fairly quickly. So as you can see, it's early November for us and it's starting to get cold. We've actually already had a pretty hard freeze and then it's warmed up, but now we've got snow coming this weekend. So I'm out in the garden, wanted to make sure we got out here at least one last time to show you what was going on. So we've got over here, you can see flapping around. We've got some kale growing underneath there, our hoop house behind us. So lots of good fun stuff still happening in our Zone 6 garden. Okay, so this month we're gonna combine zones 5, 6, and 7 together in this planting guide because there's really not a lot in those zones that you can be doing in November. Very, very little. So first off, if you haven't planted your garlic and your shallots, you can still get them in, assuming your ground hasn't frozen. So if you haven't had a freeze hard enough that the ground is frozen, then you could still go ahead and get your garlic and your shallots planted in November if you haven't done so already, okay? Then the other things that you could be planting in November are all for spring harvest, okay? So these are gonna be things that you're gonna put the seeds in. They're basically gonna sit for the winter and germinate early in the spring. So anything you do now, your germination is gonna be a little hit and miss. You're gonna lose seeds over the winter, but it's a great opportunity to plant now and get a head start on some of these crops, because as soon as the weather starts to warm up, a lot of these things will sprout and get going, okay? So all leafy greens, things like lettuce, spinach, mosh, claytonia, kale, arugula, you know, anything like that, those hardier leafy greens. You can plant them in November. If you want to put them in a hoop house or something like that, that would be great. But our light levels are going to be so low and our temperatures so low right now that anything you plant in November is going to basically sit until early spring, and then it will get started. And so if you plant it now, you may actually get these things to germinate in late February or something like that. And so it's a good opportunity to kind of get a head start on spring. So that's really it for zones 5, 6, and 7. If you live in zone 8, things are a little bit more optimistic, okay? Because the stuff that you plant, and it's gonna really be the same things, but those things actually will probably germinate for you and you'll start to get some growth over the winter time. But you're really still going to be harvesting those in January, February, and early March. But again, you can be doing some planting in Zone 8 in November. So you can plant, again, your garlic and your shallots. If you haven't got them in, you can get them in now. Lettuce, mosh, kale, spinach, arugula, Swiss chard, bok choy, collards, you know, any of the leafy greens, you could be planting those during the month of November, and they are going to slowly grow for you over the winter time, and you'll be able to harvest from those, okay? Now, if you live in zones 9 and 10, the warmer zones, you have a much bigger group of plants that you can be actually planting during the month of November. So again, garlic and shallots, if you haven't done those, you can get those in November. And then your list of greens is pretty big. So you can be planting lettuce, spinach, mosh, claytonia, arugula, mustard, greens, Swiss chard, kale, bok choy, pak choy, all of the Asian greens. All of those can be planted during the month of November, and you are going to be able to expect growth and harvest during the winter months, okay? Other things that you could be planting. If you can find transplants, you could still put broccoli, kohlrabi, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, anything like that in as well. If you can find transplants, you need to plant those from transplants, okay? And then you have some root crops that you could be planting: carrots, beets, turnips, and radishes. All of those could go in this month. And then you could plant some peas, you could plant parsley, you could plant cilantro, onions, fava beans, leeks, celery, turnips, collards. All of those could be planted during the month of November. And remember, it's wintertime. Our sunlight is a lot lower, and so they are going to be growing slower, but you guys in the warmer areas have more sunlight, have warmth, and plenty of the right kind of temperatures, and so you can get all of those things planted and off to a good start for your early spring harvest, okay? All right, so that is the list of all the crops that you should be planting in November for zones 5 through 9. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this list, and hopefully you've enjoyed this series. I will do one more video in December, but it's going to be really just zones 9 and 10 that are going to be doing any planting in December. So we'll check that out next month, okay? All right, before I leave, I just wanted to remind you to go take a look at the Gardening Academy. That's our monthly membership program. Winter time is a great time for you to be learning more about gardening, and we have a great lineup this winter of mini courses and Q&A sessions and just all kinds of great stuff to teach you how to become a better gardener. And you can learn more about that by clicking on the link that's down in the description. Again, it's called the Gardening Academy. That's our monthly membership service, and we would love to have you join. Okay, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Everybody have a great week. Happy gardening, guys.